Ladies and gentlemen, I'll read you a CNN Politics article. The link will be below. Manchin says he'll vote against For the People Act and against eliminating filibuster. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin on Sunday defended his decision to vote against a sweeping voting rights bill and reiterated his opposition to gutting the filibuster. Why would you end the filibuster right before House Republicans, Trump Republicans, take over the House? So, just based on history, you're not going out on a limb. Nobody's going out on a limb saying Republicans will take over the House. You have Joe Biden as president, and historically, the opposition party takes over the House. You have soaring crime, inflation at a 13-year high. The economy throughout the country is stagnant, barely growing, in many cases getting worse. You have a whole bunch of issues you didn't have during President Trump's administration, especially at the southern geographic region of our country, in terms of cages and a whole bunch of other things. 16 times capacity, the facilities that AOC once obsessed over and now apparently doesn't care about, where Yad Vashem in Jerusalem had to refute her distorted revisionist claims. Anyway, it's always hyperbolic, and the sky is falling whenever Democrats aren't in control. When they are, it's sweep every major story under the carpet. But here, quote, I believe that partisan voting legislation will hurt the already weakening binds of our democracy, and for that reason I will vote against the For the People Act. Furthermore, I will not vote to weaken or eliminate the filibuster. But why would you eliminate the filibuster right before House Republicans take over? Trump Republicans. So the Republican Party, they're going to be primaried. Anyone who opposes Trump will be primaried. Most will lose to people like Jim Jordan, Ron DeSantis, Doug Collins, people who are Trump Republicans, who agree with a more populist conservative message, which, by the way, a populist message, left and right, is a lot better than a traditional centrist Democratic Party or Republican viewpoint on things. A lot better. Generally, well, I should say, Trump's populist message pertaining to foreign policy was exactly what we needed, and he single-handedly reversed U.S. foreign policy. First president to step foot in North Korea and negotiated a deal to bring home Americans from never-ending perpetual conflict created by Bush and continued by President Obama. That is the greatest moral dilemma we face. I can't even get into it because it would take, well over an hour to discuss the atrocities and the negative impact on this world and this country that Bush's foreign policy has had. But here, Manchin's opposition to changing filibuster rules stands as a major roadblock to Biden's legislative priorities. So none of these legislative priorities, by the way, have anything to do with what the left wants. Hit subscribe to this channel. By the way, hit subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. The link is below in the pinned comment. To my Patreons, if you want to support my voice long-term, thank you. To my new Patreons, thank you so very much. If you want to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, Times of Israel, The Federalist, other publications, go to hagoodman.com. You can see my debates there as well. Manchin's opposition to changing the filibuster rules. Okay, It's interesting. This is really interesting, and it's a major, major victory for Trump. Major victory for Trump, and Manchin's doing the right thing. One, he's helping the Democratic Party from a Democratic Party perspective. Correct me if I'm wrong. Why would you want to change the filibuster? I mean, this is what they did with the Supreme Court. Harry Reid said, okay, we'll make it just a simple 50-vote majority. And then Trump got 3 Supreme Court picks that were far more conservative than the ones he would have nominated or been able to get through the Senate had it been a 60-vote nomination process. So Harry Reid ended that because they thought Clinton would win and they'd get the Senate, but they didn't. So I don't understand. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong below in the comments section. Why would Democrats, I mean, for the next 2 years, what is the transformative legislation? Oh, okay, there you go. They want this sweeping voting reform bill, which I'm not going to get into, too far into why Trump and Republicans don't want that kind of legislation. Let's just say that Democrats were opposed to this type of thing not long ago when Bush Republicans were taking advantage of chain of custody issues and gaming the system. There were articles in Slate and the New York Times, Palm Beach Post, when Bush Republicans 20 years ago, 15 years ago, even 12 years ago, traditional Republicans were taking advantage of issues pertaining to integrity, where they were utilizing lenient laws pertaining to voting to their advantage. Democrats, from Trump's perspective, have a virtual monopoly on media. They, from Trump's viewpoint, want Election Day to last a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And at the end of the counting process, who do you think is going to win? When has there been from Trump's viewpoint, when has there been a human error that went for Republicans? From Trump's viewpoint, not mine. From Trump Republicans' viewpoint or their vantage point, human errors seem to always benefit the other side. Taking a week or 2 weeks to finally, past a day of voting always seems to benefit one side. And so then you have media saying, well, these are baseless allegations. Then you have, from Trump's viewpoint, a recount of a small number of ballots by the state official who presided over the original process. What do you think that's going to lead to? The state officials saying, oh yeah, that's right, we engaged in knowingly or unknowingly a tremendous amount of misconduct. Hey, we found that, everybody. Gosh, that's, they're conducting investigations or recounts. When the state does that, they'd almost certainly back up the original number. So from Trump's viewpoint, he doesn't trust any of the numbers because Democrats paved the way for this process. They paved the way for this political reality. When Trump defeated Clinton, it was resistance. It was immediate protests. He didn't even have a day. He didn't even have one day where Robert De Niro and Hollywood and the DNC and the Washington Post gave him one day where he was a legitimate president. And 25% of the alleged lies or misleading statements are actually categorically true, according to CBS MarketWatch. So they didn't have a running tally of lies with President Obama or Bush or Biden. They didn't investigate those presidents when they came into office with the FBI and Brennan and the Director of National Intelligence and those three agencies. Trump had to deal with things that other presidents never dealt with, and they simply have the utmost contempt. They despised Trump from day one. From day one. Now Republicans are realizing that the animus towards Trump is actually really leveled at them. It's not just about Trump. At the end of the day, what Republicans realize is they'll never win again if they don't treat the presidential process in the manner the DNC treats their primaries. Well, I should say, I wouldn't go that far. But Look at what they do in New York, purging voters. What they did in 2016. And then they said, over 100 to 200,000 voters purged in New York. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Manchin gave Trump huge political victories. And you always get those pundits say, oh, well, just vote Democrat. It's the best of two possible worlds. No, it's not. If you're on the left, I'm not on the left, thank God, anymore. If you're on the left, build a political party to pressure the Democratic Party so you get what you want, Medicare for all, which Democrats will never in a million years vote for. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now.